Good to see you too, Henry. Few updates. Obviously, took a commitment. Gosh, it would have been yesterday, the day before. I think Carlton Bragg was interested or just kind of confirmed his interest in coming to New Mexico. Had a very productive visit. When he came, a lot of conversations on that visit, a lot of conversations since just about exactly how it's going to work if and when he came here. Put some things in place that we both needed to make sure we were on the same page with, and he agreed to do those. And I don't know exactly when he'll be getting here. He is registered in classes right now, but he is living in Phoenix and does have a young child as well, and we're just kind of working through some of those logistics. We'll do expect to have something coming out on Troy relatively soon. Still need to kind of iron out a couple of things, but I think we're really, really close there. Sam still working through his injury and just conversations between him and myself. I don't think that's necessarily as close, but Troy, I would expect something to be kind of released here before Saturday's game. I don't know what day today is, but before Saturday's game, I would expect something on Troy. That's pretty much it. I think it's just kind of other updates. Right now, just getting ready for Colorado State. I'm very, very concerned about just, having a letdown of any kind. We're obviously coming off two very emotional games, of games that we maybe either weren't expected to win from outsiders, or even for ourselves. We're kind of like, they were just emotional wins, overcoming whatever we had to overcome. And that's been our team. I think that's why we've played well. And the last thing I would ever want us to do is start to get comfortable or start to take games for granted or think we're just going to win. So we just have to keep our edge. Colorado State is a feisty team, always has been. I've learned a lot from just watching and coaching against Coach Eustachy's teams over the years. I've always admired how hard they played, and I'd love my team to be kind of thought of the same way. So a tremendous amount of respect for him, what he does with his program. Very dangerous team. They've been very good on the road. Obviously one at Wyoming, one at Utah State. They beat a Colorado team that we struggled with. So it's a capable team. They've gone through their stuff just like we have, but sometimes that also makes a team really rally and play above their level, and I'm concerned. So we just have to make sure we play with the same desperation, the same effort, and the same passion that we have in the past few games on Saturday against Colorado State, and that's really about it. So, any questions?
Can you pinpoint literally why you're playing so well right now?
Like a lot of things, Henry, I think when people ask when we were losing, I don't think it's one thing. I think it's a myriad of things that kind of add up across a lot of different levels. I think we're doing a lot more things right than we were previously. That's not everything. That doesn't mean we're perfect by any means. We have a lot of room to grow and still some things to continue to improve on. But we're just doing more things right, not only basketball-wise on the court, but just culturally and buy-in and kids just doing the right things that hopefully eventually lead to things like wins over losses.
Talk about Bragg and just the type of player he is and what he can bring to the program.
Obviously, formerly was very talented. Watched a lot of film on him. I think a lot of people have obviously watched him play. He's tremendously talented. Run into a myriad of things on and off the court over the past few years that have kind of led him here. Every young man has their journey. We spent a lot of time discussing that and also discussing how that journey may continue here and what that's going to entail. This isn't for everybody. What we do from a training perspective, what we do from a team perspective. Not a lot of people want to. Not a lot. I mean, there are certain players that maybe don't want to go to a program where starting is based on deflections or your name isn't on the back of the jerseys or whatever else kind of might go on in other places or other things. We're just a little bit different here, and it is very team-oriented, and it is very unselfish, and it is very you give a lot and might not get a lot. And, that takes a mindset to want to be a part of. I think all the kids that come into the program now know that this is what we're about. It's not just me talking about something, about a style of play or how we're going to be. It really does go that way. So I think now when kids come in, they see it. He wants to give it a shot. I'm excited to give it a shot as well. I'm going to be here for him in any way that I possibly can. I'm hopeful it's going to work out. We're going to give it this semester to see how it goes. And I think we're both in a good place about it. So I would never want to go into something not feeling like it's going to work. I'm going into it with a very positive attitude, just like I hope he is, and I hope everyone in our program is. And I'm hopeful that it's going to work out for everybody.
Not on scholarship, can he practice with you guys this semester?
He will. From talking to compliance this morning, once he has his medical, once he kind of does logistical things that every new student athlete has to do, he is eligible to practice, yes.
And if he does then get a scholarship and meet all your expectations and gets a scholarship this summer, you guys will be over one. That kind of opens the door to another update on Connor. Is there any update on Connor and whether or not he'll be back next year?
That is, next year's status with Connor is probably to be determined. This year's status, Connor is still working towards trying to appeal the decision to lose basically his medical redshirt year at Arizona State. I know I've written letters. We've spoken with attorneys. There's a lot of things kind of going on where he's still trying to potentially get that year back, which would enable him to still return this season. But I think any ongoing conversations about long-term stuff in the future is really going to be a season-ending thing.
And as for Carlton, you guys had to come to an agreement about some of the stuff he went through with
Sure.
in the past. What, I guess, research and who did you talk to come to wherever the place is you're at, that you're okay with what he went through at Kansas and why he left Arizona State?
His high school coach, to me, probably put it over the top on my end. He's a West Point guy, and I think everyone knew how good of a player he was back then and what he had become. And I think his high school coach and the people around him then were tremendous for him, just as far as giving him guidance and discipline in his life and holding him really accountable day in and day out. And knowing that he's capable of that and capable of working with a coach like that made me feel really good that this was possible. I'm not here to comment or judge on anything on any other programs or how things went and whose fault that may or may not have been. I'm sure a lot of it is at Carlton's feet. Bottom line is, going forward, we can't really worry about the past. We can just worry about how this would go going forward. These are the expectations. This is how we run our program. And if he wanted to meet me on those and become a part of it, I was willing to give this a chance. And we want to give it this semester. We want to give it a semester to see how it goes. He gives it everything he has. I'll give him everything I have. Our whole program will. And let's see if this can be a really good fit.
With the players that you have signed for the upcoming season, is it above your expectations, met your expectations, just getting here when you did and recruiting for next year?
Yeah, I think, anytime you go into recruiting, there's so many different variables as far as who you're trying to get, who wants you in return, how you want to go about getting them. Obviously, when I first got this job and you just research the Mountain West, you research how can you make this team the most successful it can be, Nevada's the best team in the league. And, that's the first team you look to and say, okay, how do they do this? What's their roster composition like? How can we mirror whatever it is they mirror? They've been very successful with transfers. I think when you looked at the Lobo team when I got here, and again, depending on your vantage point, whether it's Tim Williams, Elijah Brown, or some other players they were transfers. So I think immediately for me, it was like, well, from a success standpoint, that's obviously something we need to look at. I don't want that to be our only avenue of acquiring players, but I thought, based on where I was at in the summer and our ability to acquire players to help us right away, I thought at the time Jaquan and Vance were two guys that were just good value pickups as far as what was available and what we could get. As this season unfolded, we obviously were continuing recruiting high school players, junior college players. When this came about, it was something we looked into and explored. And I don't want to necessarily ever cut off a single supply line. If it happens to be transfers, happen to be high school kids, happen to be junior college players, graduate transfers with Antono, we just want to find the best players we can from wherever they're at. Carlton happens to be another transfer, and that obviously fits with the other two. So we'll take them however we can get them, wherever we can get them from. These guys all fit because they're long, they can run, they're athletic, and they can all shoot. And those are things I've been trying to get since I've got here. We want to be able to continue to shoot the basketball, and we want to be able to play in a really up-tempo style of play. And every single guy we've added, even to the junior college, they can all shoot the ball and they can all run. So they fit our system, and now we're just making sure they also fit our culture. And is everyone going to be a perfect fit for the culture? You never really know till they get here, but all you can do is outline exactly how it's going to go so that there's no complaining once it actually goes underway.
You mentioned Troy. Can you elaborate a little bit on what you're waiting on or what needs to happen between now and Saturday?
Yeah, we were off, so today's really my first meeting back with the team, and I have to meet with them and discuss with them before I would ever kind of release anything to the public. So I need to talk to them. I don't want them hearing or seeing anything anywhere else first.
Going back to Carlton, what about his eligibility? Will he have a year and a half left? Could you let us know if that's true?
As of right this minute, that's what he has. He would have next year at semester for the remainder of the year, and then the following year left for his playing eligibility. We are going to explore some options to see if we could get him eligible at the beginning of next season, so we have him for all of next year. But those are things that are going to obviously take some time and paperwork and research before we do. But it is something we're definitely going to explore.
On the Sam situation, you said he's still working through an injury, but he has returned to practice. He's been cleared. Is he still missing game time because of his shoulder, or is it still a matter of waiting to see when you're ready and the team's ready to let him back on the team?
Yeah, I mean, I can't put a percentage on it. I can't say it's definitively one way or another. In a really weird way, it's all in one big bundle of things to continue to work through. The last thing I want to do with Sam, with Troy, with anyone on this team is to feel as though I've given up on them, or I don't believe in them, or I still don't want to continue to mentor and allow them to grow. And for different people, those are different paths. Those are different timelines. Those are different conversations. Those are different areas of growth and development. No different than for Carlton Bragg, and it's my job to probably just do whatever I can do to allow them the best path to succeed. And Sam's just on his own path.
Your biggest concern about Colorado State?
I don't know if I said it on the radio show. I said it somewhere. I talked to Steve after the UNLV game, and he was telling me, hey, the most dangerous game after an emotional win is the game after and the letdown from it. But I felt like that San Diego State game was going to be another really big emotional game. But this is now maybe the game after the emotional game. And we just have to make sure we don't have a letdown. We continue to play hard. We've never been in this situation yet this year. We've been fighting from behind and scratching and clawing and doing everything we can do to make up or whatever. And now we're going into a game where either people expect us to win or we expect to win or whatever it may be. And we have to just get that completely out of our system, because that's when you get beat. And we have to stay hungry, and we have to stay desperate, and we have to do everything we've done to get ourselves to this point. We have to continue to do that the rest of the way. This is uncharted territory for us. We were picked 9th. No one's predicted us to win the games we've been winning. And now that we've won them, maybe all of a sudden there's different expectations, and we have to make sure we channel those in the right direction, keep our edge, and come out Saturday just like we did, the Saturday previous.
What do they do that concerns you, that brings your awareness to, hey, these guys are good?
Well, first of all, they play well on the road. To win at Wyoming is really, really hard, as we saw last night. To win at Utah State can be difficult. So they're a good road team. I think they have 3 Mountain West road wins already. So we're well aware that they're not coming in here worried about the pit or anything of that nature. So off the bat, I think that's a challenge for us. The things that they're good at are some things we struggle at. They're great playing one-on-one offense and getting to the free throw line, and we have issues with one-on-one defense and fouling a lot. So there's some things in their offense that put some challenges on us defensively. If you really watch them offensively, they have some issues probably shooting the ball, and a lot of teams just kind of pack it in and have kind of forced them to make shots, and that's not how we defend. So there's some kind of things schematically of things maybe we do offensively or defensively that don't fit well with what they're good at, and we've got to find a way to maybe make some adjustments in things we do, or be ready to make some adjustments in things that we do that we either haven't done or we just need to do to get a win in this game. So that's really what we're going through right now. It's a dangerous team on a lot of levels, and just because I know Coach Eustace and he's competitive and he has his teams playing really hard, and I respect that more than anything when I go up against somebody else, is how hard do they play and how tough are they, and they check those boxes, and those teams worry me more than some of those other categories.
They're going to be without their 2 leading scorers. How different are they without those 2 guards?
Yeah, I mean, Paige thing just kind of came up today. That's something we're just going to have to kind of guess ourselves, just like I'm sure they're trying to figure some things out themselves. Like I've said before, I've been on the side of that when guys are down, and sometimes that makes people play better, you see it all over the country. So-and-so goes down and this team goes and wins a game. There's an emotional component to college sports that is just real. And, you know, people can put limits on people, and it might work at the professional level. It might work in some, you know, arenas. But I really believe that college sports, particularly college basketball, there's still an emotional component you can tap into. And I'm sure, you know, they have the capability to tap into that and play a terrific game. And we just have to be on our ready and on our guard and either match them or exceed that in that category.
With Larry coming to Albuquerque this weekend, I'd be remiss if I didn't revisit the preseason comments he made, saying that you have the worst job in America. You've now gone through it, however many games you've coached now. Any thoughts on Larry Eustace thinking you have the worst job in America?
Yeah, I mean, I think Coach Eustace was probably making and I don't know Coach Eustace that well, so I don't know exactly why he said it, but I think he was probably trying to just defend coaching and the fraternity of coaches and just the industry that we're in. And, you know, at the end of the day, a lot of coaches are getting hired and fired, and a lot of coaches, you know, have a very unstable job. And I think he was maybe doing that, you know, just in defense of coaches in this industry, maybe taking a lot of heat in whatever markets they happen to be in, or maybe getting fired prematurely or whatever it may be. I don't think he necessarily meant anything really harshly specific to just Albuquerque or just New Mexico. My take on it, he was just kind of defending the profession that this has become, and it's become a ruthless profession. If you don't win, people want you fired. The trigger is very quick now than it used to be. Media and fans and the internet blogs and trolls and all those other things, they're real and they're powerful, and it's there, you know, whether it's the football coach at Tennessee or Larry Eustace or whatever it may be. It's something that we're all kind of taking on as coaches, and I kind of took it from him as maybe just defending what that is from a coach's perspective. Again, I don't know him, so maybe he meant differently, but that's the way I kind of viewed it. I mean, I can honestly tell you we were whatever we were. I know the Journal said we were 3-9, but I don't know what we were, 3-7, 3-8, something like that. I've never once got a negative text, email, phone call, anything. I've got nothing but support from the people, the fans. The fans so far to me have been amazing. It made me feel even more guilty. I actually wanted a little bit more like, Coach, you don't know what you're doing, or you guys suck, or whatever. When people are really nice to you and they're not succeeding, and people are dropping off food in your office because they hear that you're not eating, and they're doing all these things because they care and they're supportive, it just makes me not sleep even more and just want to work even harder to give them what they want, which is a winning product. So I'm well aware that this stuff comes with the territory and it's part of the profession. I think that's what Coach Eustace meant. And really right now, all I'm really focused on is trying to win Saturday night.
You talk a lot about the journey that players take and how they get from A to B.
Yeah.
But Mondragon, I talked to him the other day, he said he's gone through the
Sure.
tryouts to get to this point. Can you envision him becoming the player, the contribution that he has made?
Yeah, no, I had a conversation with a recruit very recently, and I used him as an example of just, you know, there's a lot of people that come into these programs with different ideas or different visions of what's going to happen, and I can't think of a more situation that aligns itself well with me better than that. You know, a kid that went to an open tryout that was working in the rec center or wherever else. I think it was the rec center because I ended up seeing him there a few days later. To come onto a team, try out, go through all that stuff, make it. Different guys don't make it, and next thing you know, you find yourself in a game at UNLV. You know, I mean, it's awesome, and that's what college basketball is about. That's what America's about. That's what all this stuff is about, and I'm really happy for him. That doesn't guarantee anything going forward. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to become this huge part of what we do. But that's the amazing thing about this team is we're all just giving everything we got, and we're not asking for anything in return. And I think that's how we got to this point, is because of the unselfishness of people like Mike that are just giving it everything they got, not asking questions, not wondering why starters are based on deflections, not wondering why we play this style of play or whatever it may be, just doing it, and and not expecting to get anything back. So really happy for Mike, just that he's actually getting a little bit of this right now. You never knew it was going to come this way, and you don't know what way it's going to go. But obviously, as of up until this point, I'm really happy for him.
You talked about the last two games, big emotional wins. Do you like those games just because of, I mean, the guys that you have on your roster, you have some pretty emotional guys. You got Joe, Anthony, even Anthony. I mean, do you like being those guys?
I think it's been good for us to go through them and come out on the other end. We haven't had those yet. And sometimes when you fight and you fight and you fight and you don't come out, it's almost maybe you get into those moments you're expecting something bad to happen. And I think it was the media timeout at Vegas, and Antonio had just thrown 2 straight turnovers. And I know he was feeling that way. And I know he came into the huddle thinking, here we go again, deja vu, I made some mistakes and we're going to lose and all that kind of stuff. But we came into that timeout and Anthony Mathis was awesome, and I thought me and him were both trying to pick everybody up, and we were able to get through that game and get a win. And then when we came to those timeouts against San Diego State, even though we were just butting our head against that wall that whole game, we still had that same vibe. So I think those games have been good for us from the standpoint of we finally were able to knock on the door, and then finally kind of break it open. You never know how those games go. They could go one way or the other every time. But I think just getting that confidence of getting one was big.
Coach, when you came down the ramp last Saturday night, did you notice literally there were more people in there, biggest crowd of the year? If that's an emotional lift, what if you come down this Saturday night and there are no seats left? Will that give a lift to your team?
I'll be honest with you. I don't pay a ton of attention to that stuff. I'm really just trying to think about the game and what we're going to do. But I'd be lying if I didn't say the volume affects us. And the volume at times, I thought against Saturday at San Diego State was absolutely exceptional. And I think we've had some games this year where that was really happening. But our team, to our fault, wasn't able to break through or wasn't able to kind of give the fans what they wanted or what they were kind of yearning for. I thought we had that point in the Arizona game. I thought we've had some points there where we could have just brought everyone on board there for a moment, but we haven't been able to do that. That's of no fault to any of the fans. I think they've come out in great numbers, and I'm really appreciative that they have. San Diego State was the first time that we finally gave them something of wow, and they really rallied, and their volume was absolutely terrific. I can't even say enough about it. It helped us. It helped us win the basketball game, and anytime we can get them to just give us that volume going forward, it just makes such a huge difference, not only for the benefit of us, but for the detriment of our opponent.
Thank you.
Yep.